Good morning and welcome to our live stream service. We'd like to offer greetings to our Unitarian Universalist Church of Sarasota and our Lakewood Ranch Unitarian Universalists, as well as our visitors. I'm the Reverend Doug Wadkins. I'm the interim senior minister. I'm joined in worship today by the Reverends Bud Friend Jones and Beth Miller, our associate ministers, as well as Don Brin, our pianist. We are also joined by our director of music, Robert Laschetti, and I'd like to invite him now to the pulpit to introduce our guest musician for this morning's service. Welcome, Robert.
Good morning. C.Y. Hong is a violinist with the Sarasota Orchestra. Some of you may remember her. She's been here before as a guest musician. We're very happy to have her. C.Y. studied at the Juilliard School of Music. She's got 2 degrees from there, has performed a solo recital at Carnegie Hall, and won numerous competitions throughout the country and worldwide, and has played with lots of orchestras and opera companies all over the country and also in Europe. Very happy to have you. Thanks for being here, C.Y.
Thank you. Very, very stirring. Perfect beginning for our service. We are very glad that our visitors are here as well as our regulars, and we hope that our visitors will take a moment before you leave to go to the homepage and click on the banner that is entitled Welcome Visitors. That will take you to a special web page that gives you a lot of important information about who we are and helps you get to know us. You can also, while you're there, sign our virtual guest book. If you do that, we will send you our weekly newsletter, The Contact, that tells you even more about us, as well as our weekly and monthly events. Those events are also listed on the front page, the homepage of our website as well. If you sign up for the contact, you will be able to get the Zoom links, and you are very welcome to join us at any of those gatherings. You'll also notice on our homepage that there is a donate button. In this pandemic, and it is more important than ever that we support the work of the congregation. It is your generosity that allows us to keep the lights on, to keep this building, to have guest musicians, your staff. So your generosity does a lot of good. You are especially invited to our coffee hour after the service. It begins about half an hour after the hour, and it is the same link that you use in the morning for the forum. I hope that you will join us for a few minutes, a chance to chat and catch up with what's going on in your life. In just a moment, we will move into our chalice lighting. This would be a perfect time, as we have our interlude, for you to grab a candle or to bring your chalice that you have at home, so that we may spark the flame together. We light our chalice with the words of Scott Taylor. We are all playing it up, playing it down, trying to play fair, playing for keeps, playing favorites, playing it safe, sometimes too safe. He plays hardball, they're playing house. She's tired of playing second fiddle, and he's playing right into their hands. And sometimes we're just played out. But what about playing with fire? Well, let's hope that there is indeed some fire as part of our service. As we light this chalice, may that represent the flame of the spark of life that lives in each of us, especially in the moments when we are playful. I invite you to join us in our opening hymn, number 361, Enter, Rejoice, and Come In.
Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Open your ears to the song. Open your ears to the song. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Open your hearts, everyone. Open your hearts, everyone. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Don't be afraid of some change. Don't be afraid of some change. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Today will be a joyful day. Enter, rejoice, and come in.
Good morning, everyone. It's time in the service now for our time of centering, a time to become fully present here in the space with each other, whether you're at home or wherever you are. I have words to share by Diane Ackerman, and then I'll invite you into a time of silence, followed by singing together, Spirit of Life. She writes, "In rare moments of deep play, we can lay aside our sense of self, shed time's continuum, ignore pain, and sit quietly in the absolute present, watching the world's ordinary miracles. No mind or heart hobbles, no analyzing or explaining, no questing for logic, no promises, no goals, no worry. One is completely open to whatever drama may unfold." Please join us in silence.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
Good morning. Good morning. As I was driving to the church this morning, I was listening to Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me, and that program was introduced by the announcer who said, "This program has been recorded before an audience of no one." And that's how it feels here in this sanctuary, but I know this is not no one, that we are together before our screens, our computer screens, our TV screens. We are together. We're in diaspora, but together. And the day is coming, soon we hope, when we will be together again in the sanctuary. So I'm going to have some words for you, and I'm assuming that we're all together dispersed. How's that? Our verb, to play, gets a lot of work. It comes from a very old Dutch word that means to dance, leap for joy, and rejoice. The dictionary tells us that a person is playing when they move about in a lively, irregular, and capricious motion. We like the word play. We use it, as you heard already, for lots of reasons. We have playmates and playgrounds, and we attend plays in theaters. We play chess, music, balls, cards, and so many other activities. We play musical instruments. We play radios records and tapes if we can't play musical instruments. I'm very good with a CD player. Sometimes we use the word play to describe a mechanical defect. For example, we say there's too much play in the steering wheel. It's not always pleasant, this word to play. No one likes to play second fiddle, and certainly no one wants to be played. In the 18th century, there was a proverb that went, "The wise child handles father and mother by playing one against the other." Some players are professional, as in baseball players, blackjack players, bassoon players. But amateurs play these things too. The difference often is in the money. Animals play, even machines play. For example, until very recently, everybody had a record or CD player. Savvy scientists are developing sophisticated robots that seem to dance, leap for joy, and rejoice. And they certainly move about with lively, irregular, and capricious motions. But as Mr. Shakespeare would say, there's the rub. Because there is nothing spontaneous about robotic play. It's programmed. The playfulness of robots that we witness, if such there be, resides in their human creators. In an extraordinary book written in the 1930s, Johann Huizinga demonstrated that nearly everything we do in our culture is an expression of our innate playfulness. Playfulness is the fecund fountain of all human invention. A new recipe? Play. A new mobile phone? Play. A new go-kart for a Sunday drive on the Martian surface? Play. A world war? Sadly, play gone awry. A treaty to end the war? That's play, too. Seriously, even the most somber religions embody a deeply playful impulse. Their adherents may not know it, but a gloomy countenance may be their way of playing. Why are there so many theologies and liturgies and practices in religion? Because without these playful inventions, religion grows stale. Without an awareness of its playful, inventive core, religion becomes oppressive and fuels our worst impulses. It matters a great deal what we play and how we play. Too often, the joyful and life-affirming spirit of playfulness is perverted. Too many people today play only sinister and violent games. Every day, our elected officials play, do they not? Sometimes well, and sadly, sometimes not. What games are they choosing to play? Sim City, for example, or Mortal Kombat? Co-opetition, for example, or Games of Thrones? In my world, intentional play is humanizing, empowering, and life-affirming. It expands our capacity to interact joyfully with the world. It is the defining characteristic of all life on this planet. Play is our sacred gift to be cherished and developed as long as we live.
So if we were together in the sanctuary this morning, I would invite us to just take a moment and give thanks to our musician today. Thank you so much. That was absolutely stunning. We are certainly blessed to have you with us today. As I begin my reflection on play, our theme for this month, I want to begin with a brief quote from Neva L. Boyd from an essay called A Theory of Play. The spirit of play develops social ability, ethics, mental and emotional control, and imagination. These are the more complex adjustments a child learns through play. In play, there are adjustments to new situations constantly. Play experience can prepare the person for a purposefulness in non-play activities, for the play creates the incentives to use one's best ability. Through play, a person can develop a pattern of self-reliance and self-confidence. End of the reading. Bud just told us about all different kinds of play, and our brief reading told us about the purpose of play for children. One form of play that I'm very interested in, that intrigues me, is improvisation. And it can serve some of the same functions for us as adults as play does for children. According to Wikipedia, improvisation is the activity of making or doing something not planned beforehand and using whatever can be found. Improvisation is in the performing arts is a very spontaneous performance without specific or scripted preparation. Improv does, however, have rules, numbering from 3 to 10 depending on what form you're using. Since my remarks today must be short, I'm sticking with Tina Fey's 3 rules and why she says they are great rules for life from her memoir, Bossy Pants. Tina Fey is a featured player in the Chicago-based improvisational group, The Second City, and one of the performers and head writers of Saturday Night Live. Her 3 rules are agree, say yes and make statements. So here we go. Rule number 1, agree. Always say yes. The way the dialogue says, this way the dialogue stays open. For example, if she says, freeze, I have a gun, and you say, that's not a gun, that's your finger, our scene is over. There's nothing more to say. It's ground to a complete halt. But if I say, freeze, I have a gun, and you say, the gun I gave you for Christmas, you bastard, then we have started a scene because we have agreed and that my finger is in fact a Christmas gun. Now, Tina Fey acknowledges that in life we can't always agree, but the rule reminds us to respect the other person's point of view, to keep an open mind, and to maintain communication. When we automatically say no, we either shut down the conversation or we begin an argument. An initial agreement is an invitation to curiosity, to a curious approach, to engagement. Tina Fey's second rule of improv is not only to say yes, but yes and. You're supposed to agree and then add something of your own. For instance, she says, if I start a scene with, I can't believe it's so hot in here, and you just say, yeah, we're kind of at a standstill. That's the end of it. But if you say, what did you expect? We're in hell. Now we're getting somewhere. We have something to talk about. In other words, we will have something to explore together, to engage with someone, to go beneath the surface of the beginning of a possible conversation. We have to contribute. We have to say, yes, and then add something. And the third rule is make statements. Now that's quite similar, of course, to yes and, but Tina Fey takes contributing further with this rule. She says, Don't ask questions all the time. If we're in a scene and I say, "Who are you? Where are we going? What are we doing? What's in that box?" I'm putting pressure on you to come up with all the answers. In other words, whatever the problem is, be a part of the solution. The initial reading said that play develops social adaptability, ethics, mental health, and emotional control and imagination in children, that it helps them adjust to new situations and prepares them for non-play activities. It creates incentive to use their best abilities and helps develop self-reliance and self-confidence. Improv classes have become very popular. Florida Studio Theater offers them here in Sarasota. Millions of people in all walks of life study and practice improv. I really do think that these 3 rules, agree, say yes, and make statements, can help us contribute and continue to grow in the ways that play helps children to grow throughout our lives. Try applying them and see what happens.
In today's service, each of us has presented our own shorter take on the theme play. And I bring up the third reflection, and I will begin our exploration with a short clip from Charlie Chaplin, who in 1921 starred with a young Jackie Coogan in a piece that would come to be regarded as a masterpiece in film history, The Kid. It tells the story of a young man who is often referred to in Chaplin films as the tramp, who is deeply poor, and in the process of stealing a car, discovers that a baby has been hidden in the car that he is stealing. And as he is trying to get rid of the baby, he also discovers that there is a note on the baby, and he reads it. And it basically says from the mother that she is unable to take care of this child and hopes that it finds love. And so Chaplin, much to his surprise, chooses to try to be that person to this baby. And our clip comes 5 years later in a typical morning as they live their life together. So as I think about the topic of play, I believe that humor is one of the powerful subsections of that, and one that has a certain complexity to it as well. And I chose this clip with some intention. There are sections of that Chaplin film that are much more slapstick and openly over-the-top raucous. But this scene really both captures the sense of the essence of the film, as well as some more subtle nuances of humor. Humor that's sort of based in the most commonly shared human experiences, as well as understanding that we could look at any particular scene and see in it the potential sadness of the poverty of their life and their difficulty. But the way this is presented invites us to use our imagination to see more. And so I think over and over again, humor invites us to that larger perspective. But it is also often grounded in difficult moments. Chaplin acknowledged that this was one of the most autobiographical of his films. And he wrote, "To truly laugh, you must be able to take your pain and play with it." And that's what he sought to do in The Kid. He took his own impoverished upbringing in London and the very recent, right before the film, the loss of his son, who was only 3 days old when he died. And instead of making a film about deep grief, made a film that incorporated those themes in a way that was life-giving and also touched on the very heartfelt components as well. Always, I think at its best, humor does both of these things. It connects us with the truths of our lives, but it does it in a way that both puts our finger on the pulse of what is true in terms of the absurdity of it, but also points out some of the power and the life-giving components as well. And I'm not trying, in the way we think about humor, to remove the importance of its silliness and its fun. As Gene Maffin writes, "From the Greek word selig, which means blessed, comes the English word silly. I like to think," she wrote, "that there is something sacred about the ability to be silly, to play, to laugh, and to be childlike." I think about the genius of one of the most famous Mary Tyler Moore episodes that is entitled "Chuckles the Clown Bites the Dust." And it is, of all things, about one of the characters that you never see, Chuckles the Clown, who at the beginning of the show has been killed in a freak accident, having a peanut suit on and an elephant tries to shell him. And the show so brilliantly plays between the gallows humor and also the sense of the basic humanness that we share. And so while Mary, through much of the episode, chastises her colleagues for making fun of the death of this clown, she, in his funeral, battles painfully with wanting to break into giggles at almost every moment of his eulogy, and finally loses the battle as the minister summarizes Chuckles' life philosophy as a little song, a little dance, a little seltzer down his pants. And as she begins to laugh audibly, he invites her to stand and says, "No, Chuckles would want you to laugh. He lived to make people laugh. Tears were offensive to him. He hated to see people cry. So laugh for Chuckles." At which point, Mary bursts into tears. That sequence reminds us of the power of humor, to give us an invitation to look at a situation and see it in different ways. Not to remove us from the power of death or the difficulty that we have, but to remind us that in every moment there are many things that are true. And often in our most awkward moments, there is some seed of the essence of life just trying to get out. Matthew Fox wrote, "Humor is wonderful food for the soul. Too much seriousness violates the law of nature. Living in a humorless life turns a blind eye to paradoxes around and within us. We're never laughing at ourselves shrinks the soul. So as we move into this month of exploring the various ways that play is part of our life, it is important to remember that it is asking us to see the playfulness in all things, to have an attitude that allows us to bring a sense of humor and a different perspective, to remind ourselves that it is often when we embody, live most fully into a moment, that we really draw from it what it has to offer to us. That often the attitude of play helps us see possibilities that we might not otherwise see. As we journey into this month, may you find your own meaningful way to connect with this theme. May it call you to live your life, to laugh more, and to connect more deeply with each other. So may it be. I invite you to join us in our closing hymn, number 311, the first two verses, Let It Be a Dance.
Dance we do. May I have this dance with you through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance. Let a dancing song be heard. Play the music, say the word, and fill the sky with sailing birds. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. Learn to follow, learn to lead. Feel the rhythm, feel the need. To reap the harvest, plant the seed. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance we do. May I have this dance with you through the good times and the bad times too. Let it be a dance. Everybody turn and spin. Let your body learn to bend. And like a willow with the wind, let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. Let it be a dance. A child is born, the old must die. A time for joy, a time to cry. Take it as it passes by. Let it be a dance.
A Hindu master taught that creation, all of creation, all the world is Leela. Leela means God's play, and the universe is God's playground. The aim of all spirituality, he said, is to make all life play. Well, that seemed too frivolous for one puritanical visitor. Is there no room for work, he said. Of course there's room for work, the master replied. But work becomes spiritual only when it is transformed into play. If the purpose of the Spirit is to make all life play, then let us live our lives with a playful spirit. Let us go forth playfully and transform this world into a playground worthy of the divine.